a business trip to stay in a remote hotel. The result is not only encountered a ghost, but also sick and died in this hotel. So this happened in March 2009. The protagonist named Mark, because of work needs, he went to B City for a week on business. There were 5 of them in total, 4 men and 1 woman. The original plan was to hold the activity on Monday, 18th, and they had to come here 1 day earlier to do some preliminary work. However, in the middle, the other 3 male colleagues were still finishing the last activity in Shijiazhuang City, so they let Mark and the only woman, MSX, go first. On the morning of the 7th, it was already 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon when Mark and Lady X arrived in City B under the leadership of the person in charge. The 2 of them checked into a local hotel that was not well known. The hotel was quite desolate, and there were very few people passing by the door. There are not many shops on the street, which makes them feel uncomfortable and even a little scared. X's room is on the 3rd floor. MSX is on the 4th floor. In the elevator, MSX said, "This hotel looks very weird. If the room is at the end of the corridor, I will never stay." In China, the room at the end of the corridor means there is a high chance of supernatural events happening, which is very bad. Mark reassures her, "Don't scare yourself. There is nothing in the room at the end of the corridor." But it just so happened that their room was at the end of the corridor. As soon as he put down his luggage, Mark received a phone call from Miss X. She said that she wanted to change rooms, but she was too hungry. "Let's have a meal first, and then go to the front desk to change rooms after coming back." After dinner, they also went to the project site, and several people in charge of the contact. When they came back, it was more than 10 o'clock. MS X changed a new room in the middle of the 3rd floor, but she is a little afraid to go up, so asked Mark to help her take the luggage. Mark felt reasonable and went. As a result, the moment he opened the door, a coolness mixed with silence hit Mark. The glass of the window reflected a dark blue light. Mark was not timid, but he still felt an indescribable fear the moment he opened the door. They took their luggage and hurried down. After he came back, he also considered whether to change rooms, but after much deliberation, he decided not to bother. It was too late, so he should go to bed first. Then, in the middle of the night, around 3 o'clock in the morning, Mark heard a strange noise outside the window, like someone knocking on a bowl. Dang, dang, dang. It seemed to have a rhythm. Mark immediately got up and started cursed, but as soon as he opened the window, the sound disappeared again the next morning. 3 other male colleagues also arrived. After completing the day's activities, it was already 7 o'clock in the evening when they returned to the hotel. The 3 of them lived on the 5th floor. The 3 people share a triple room. After each of them has a rest for a while, the manager calls Mark and MSX to their room for a meeting. The first thing MSX says when she walks in the door is, "It's weird in here. I just went downstairs to do some shopping, and we're the only room in the whole building with a light on." Manager also echoed after hearing this, "I feel the same way. I was feeling uneasy when I came here, but it's too late today. Let's just sleep here first and change the hotel tomorrow." Everyone agreed, and the conversation returned to work, but just halfway through the drive, the sound of children playing suddenly came from outside the empty corridor. It only lasted for 2 or 3 seconds, but it instantly broke through Mark's psychological defense. It was really scary. After the meeting, he called up, accompanied him to get his luggage, and decided to sleep in this room with them. Back in the room, Mark felt urgent to urinate, so he went to the toilet first. Manager was sitting alone in the room, suddenly, seemed to be frightened by something, and kept urging Mark to hurry up. Before Mark understood what was happening, the 5 of them hurriedly moved to another hotel in the city center. The environment and other places here are much better. The lights are brighter. They have booked 3 rooms, 2 twin rooms and 1 double bedroom. MSX stayed in the double bedroom, so she was finally able to have a good sleep on the 3rd day. The 4 boys arrived at the event and found that MSX had not come. After calling to inquire, they found out that she had a fever. Fortunately, the tasks of her business trip are all early docking, and now they are basically completed. and the follow-up can rest at ease. The 4 people gave her medicine and went about their business. On the 4th day, when MSX's fever still didn't go away, Mark dropped what he was doing and took her to the hospital. After a fever injection, MSX said she was much better. Because she had no work, 4 people advised her to go home and have a good rest, but MSX was determined not to go, as if someone forced her to stay here, which made 4 people very strange. But everyone has their own ideas. They could only respect her decision. On the 5th day, MSX's fever went down, but she didn't want to go out. Manager sent a text message to ask if she wanted to go out for dinner, but she didn't reply. And it was only after a long time that she replied that she was busy chatting with others just now. Anyway, it is good that she is okay. That night, however, MSX had a fever again, so A and Mark went back and took her to the hospital 10 miles away. The doctor said that she was too tired and that she should just go and rest. As the doctor spoke, Mark looked back at MSX and saw that her eyes were empty, which gave Mark a terrible and indescribable feeling. On the 6th day, MSX did not eat all day. She did not touch the food that Mark and her friends bought. On the 7th day, MSX had a fever again. Mark sent her to the hospital again, but MSX was already a little abnormal. Sitting in the car, began to talk to herself, and sometimes suddenly laughed, which was very scary. The work was completed on the 8th day of March 24th. Considering that this place was really weird, everyone planned to stay one night near the airport and then take the nearest flight back. But before departure, MSX said that she would not go and planned to stay in the hotel here for one night and go to the airport by herself tomorrow morning. Everyone couldn't persuade her, so they left first. The next day before boarding, MSX was late and did not answer her phone. Mark was afraid that her condition would get worse, so he called the hotel. The staff on the phone said that after they knocked on the door, the girl inside should be fine. Her voice was loud and did not sound like she was sick, but she was still unwilling to open the door. After sending a voice message to MSX, the 4 of them went to the airport. After all, they were all adults. They tried to persuade her, but they didn't answer the phone. It was MSX who didn't want to come back. Well, they can't help it. On the morning of the 25th, Mark received a phone call from his boss before he woke up. On the phone, the boss told him with a crying voice that MSX had died in the hotel in B City. The cause of death of MSX was a severe high fever. Later, Mark found the manager A and asked why I suddenly wanted to change hotels in the first hotel at that time. I answered that he was sitting on the sofa and saw a face reflected on the TV, Lady X's face. Later, I heard from a psychic that MSX's soul might have been taken away by the ghost in the first hotel at this time. This is a true story. The blogger Mark who posted this story was criticized by the internet afterwards. Many people said that he refused to save her, but I personally feel that as colleagues, they did everything they should do, including sending X to the hospital 3 times. In the end, it was MSX herself who did not save herself.